Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to my talk Mobile Application Monitoring 101. If you're ready, let's actually go. As I mentioned, introduction slide. My name is Lazar Nikolov, developer at Sentry. I've been coding since 2013. That's when I actually published my first Android app. It was called Pocket Formulas. My intention was to cheat on my math exams. So that's why I built the app. That was back in high school. Unfortunately or fortunately, I didn't actually manage to build the app on time. The exams came, so I just had to learn and do the tests as a normal person. So didn't manage to cheat, but it was fun nevertheless. And also a fun fact, I'll be moving to Toronto, Canada in literally 2 weeks from today, less than 2 weeks, honestly. So yeah, if you are from Toronto and want to grab a coffee, hit me up. I would love to hang out. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to do 3 points. First, the first two are theoretical. We're going to do an intro to mobile app monitoring. What's mobile app monitoring and why do we need mobile app monitoring solutions? Then we're going to explore 5 key features of app monitoring platforms, just the common ones, as you can see. And of course, at the end, there's no good talk if there's no demo time. I hope the demo gods are with me today and nothing breaks, because it usually breaks during the demo, but we'll see. Okay. All right, so let's dive in and learn what is mobile application monitoring and why we need it. Okay, so mobile application monitoring is the process of tracking the performance and health of an application in production. Okay, so I'm not talking about destroying your app locally on your phone, trying to find all the bugs that you can find. We're talking about in production. Okay, so it involves tracking the performance of individual components inside of your app or services, and also monitoring for errors and other issues as they happen in this world. Okay, that's what we mean in production. So the goal of mobile application monitoring solutions is to identify and resolve problems with the application in a timely manner. So the more you identify and the more you resolve the issues in your app, the more you're going to improve the UX and prevent issues in the app. Okay, so if we learned anything in terms of business and why UX is important in business, the better the UX is, the more money the business is gonna make. Okay, that is a formula. So that's exactly why we need the mobile application monitoring, to ensure that our app is functioning properly, and figure out all of the issues, all of the bottlenecks in our app, so it can function like it should, and our business can make more money than it actually does. Okay, that was a mobile application monitoring in a nutshell. Let's check out 5 features of app monitoring platforms, or at least the most common ones. Okay, so first, when we're talking about platforms, like monitoring platforms, the first thing we know that there's going to be is an error tracking feature, right? So monitoring for errors within the application on every phone that is installed on this world, right? We mentioned that we're doing this in production as the errors happen. And when errors happen, you get so much details about these errors, including their cause, what file and what line of code, caused the issue, and all sorts of hardware and software details, like what was the phone manufacturer and model that the issue happened on. What is the Android version? What is your app's version that caused the issue? Free RAM, free storage at the time of the crash, etc. So yeah, you get bombarded with all of the details, necessary or unnecessary for you, but yeah, it's yours to decide. So that is error tracking, and yeah, you get the dashboard with all of the errors as they happen, and you can see where your app is in terms of health. The next key feature that is super important is the performance monitoring feature. That involves tracking the performance of individual components or services within the app. Right, so It means identifying any bottlenecks or other issues that may be impacting your app's overall performance. This is not crashes. But if your app is slow and you don't have performance monitoring, there is no way of knowing that. And the performance monitoring feature actually takes time to figure out the whole user flow and the rendering time for each of your screens. So you can see if, for example, there's I don't know, if there's a checkout flow in your app and your app is pretty slow, some of the users might drop out. You can identify that as a bottleneck in your app and fix it, so your users can check out faster, okay? And that was performance monitoring. We are going to see all of this later in the demo. Well, I'm just like preparing and setting the stage for what we're about to see. And we got alerting, and to basically tie all of this together, the issues and performance monitoring, you have alerting. So you can create custom alerts when certain conditions are met. For example, a specific issue happened, or the performance of the app drops below a certain threshold. I don't know, that might mean that your backend is slowing down, etc. Or even like more complex scenarios where a certain issue happens on X amount of users in Y amount of time. That is a valid alert criteria. And yeah, as they happen, you can get an email notification or Slack notification, so you can be more proactive and go and fix the bug, right? So that is alerting. We have dashboards and reporting. Using the dashboards feature, you'll basically can see the current status of your application and also the historical data and trends. And what's cool about this is that you can have your releases mapped out to all of the bugs and issues that happened within them. And when you actually, you can use the dashboards to figure out how your dev team's performance is running, how the dev team's fixing the bugs, or like, are we actually doing anything to improve the health and performance of our app? How often do we introduce new bugs, etc.? That is especially good for managers, right? Okay, and lastly, we got integrations or third-party integrations, for example, incident management systems like PagerDuty and TaskCall. In cases where there are certain issues that you need to urgently respond to, these incident management systems will help you resolve and respond on the occurrence immediately or in a timely manner. And then we have source control platforms like GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. First, for example, in Sentry's case, when an issue happens and you have the GitHub or any other source control platform integration, Sentry is able to link you to the exact line of code and open that, open your repo to that line of code in a new window. And also, for example, the GitHub code owners feature, when an issue happens in your mobile app, your, mobile lead dev can automatically be assigned to that issue. Or when a backend issue happens, your backend lead is going to be assigned to that issue. So that is it's a pretty cool feature. Then we got project management platforms like Jira, Asana, Linear, where we can create automatically tickets for every issue or performance issue when it happens. And of course, we got the communication tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams to basically be in the loop of all of the alerts that are happening. Okay, so these are just like a few features that Sentry has, which are pretty common among the other monitoring platforms. Sentry has a lot more features that contribute to the developer experience. And yeah, all right. Now is the demo time where everybody has been waiting for. And I hope nothing goes wrong because it's going to be funny. Okay. I have an app for you today. I'm going to run it first so you can see what we're dealing with. And then we're going to install Sentry. We are going to figure out two purposely set issues in the app. And yeah, this is the app. It's called All the Movies. So I am reading a huge JSON from that contains movies from 1900s up until 2018, I think. Yeah. And we're just basically rendering all of the movies here. And when we click on one, we get some details like what is the title of the movie, genres, year, what is the cast, etc., etc. Okay. So nothing is done in this app. And let's start installing Sentry. I'm going to uncomment this line of code, which actually adds the Sentry Android Gradle plugin. And this plugin basically does all of the heavy lifting for us. It installs the Sentry SDK into our app, and it installs all of the plugins and everything that we need to get it running. And then within our manifest file, I'm going to uncomment these lines of code. We are going to provide the DSN. DSN is basically your unique URL that points to your project. So when issues happen and when performance monitoring happens, your project gets notified, not somebody else's. Then we have, for example, the debug flag. This is an optional one. If you want to debug and make sure that your Sentry setup is correctly configured, you can use this to check out the logs. Then we have the sample traces rate. This is a coefficient, 1.0 means 100% of all of the traces are going to be sampled. It's recommended in production, when going into production, to actually lower this value to whatever makes most sense for your app, depending on your number of users, etc. Because if you leave it at 1.0, all of the traces are going to be sampled, which means that your capacity is going to be filled up rather quickly, or quicker than it needs to be. Then we have a sample rate for the profiling. This is for the performance measuring. Same thing, 1.0 means 100% of the profiling traces are going to be sampled. Yeah, put it in 0.3 or 0.4. I don't know. And then we have the user interactions flag, which is an integration that basically maps out all of the user interaction events, like navigating or swiping or clicking on a button, etc., etc. So this also listens and writes all of the user interactions and hooks them up with the errors as they happen, so you actually know what the user did before the error happened. And you'll see this later. Okay, so I am going to save this and I'm going to run the app again. So we have the Sentry plugin set up into our build Gradle and also all the values into our manifests. And let's trigger an error. I'm not sure if you noticed previously, if I click on one movie, the strange ones, we get the insidious. We get the one before it. So if I click on the first one, we get a crash, right? That means we have an issue with the way that we're showing the details of a movie. So if I switch over to my Sentry dashboard here, I have all the movies project selected. Let me zoom in. I have all of the movies project selected, and I also have the time frame. We should see an error rather quickly, or we should do it again, because there is, let me actually do that again, because there is a dynamic sampling system in place that might, there we go, that might actually.
Okay.
I'm sharing it. There we go. All right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Was it your network?
I'm not sure what it was. It's just the screen refreshed.
Okay. Okay, cool. Keep
Awesome.
going.
All right. Thank you. Let's continue. All right. So here's our issue. Here's our crash that we purposely made previously. So let's check it out. This is a null pointer exception that happened in our pages/details screen in the invoke function at line 35, right? This is what we can see from our stack trace. So if we go into the details screen on line, what was the line? It was line 35, right? There's the line 35, no movie found with the ID of movie, and then we have ID, but then we have these double exclamation marks. So this probably is the issue why we get a null pointer exception, because the movie probably is not being found, right? So we find the movie based on the argument of the movie ID, but check this out, we have a -1 here. So if we pass 0, this is the bug here. If we pass 0, the movie ID is going to be -1, and there's no movie with the -1 ID. There we go. We actually go to the this line of code, and the null pointer exception happens. And we should just like remove the -1 and be more careful next time. And this should work now. Let's see. Insidious. If we go to the strange ones, we see the strange ones. That's awesome. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to demo to you is the profiling, right? So this was the crash. This was the crash or the issue reporting feature. As we see, we got the stack trace here. These are the breadcrumbs or the user events. As you can see, we have the session start right here. Then the main activity got created. The app is in the foreground right now. We are navigating to the /movies, which is the default page. Then we navigate to the from /movies to movies ID with the ID of 28463, and then we get a null pointer exception right here. Okay, so that's how the error happened. This is our navigation. Aside from the breadcrumbs, we also got the information here, like what is the build name, the app version. If this is a bug in the previous release and we already fixed it, I'm not sure if we should panic, right? The user just needs to update the app. So that's where we can see this version here. Permissions, the battery level, what is the last time the device has been booted before the issue, brand of the device, charging, yes or no, like all of these informations that could potentially help you solve your issue. Okay, so this was the issues, the crash reporting issues. Next thing I want to show you is the profiling. So this is being done automatically, just like the crashes. And every time we run the app, Sentry takes a snapshot, takes a profile of the current run, and it uploads it to our dashboard. So here's our main transaction when we booted the main activity. And we can click on this and we'll see a bunch of profiles, right? So the most recent one is this one, which, as you can see, it's like 2 seconds long, right? That's pretty slow. But if we open this up, we're going to see the flame chart of our profile. And yeah, you can spend some time reading this, but if we scroll down, we should see somewhere around here that we have our movies. There we go. We have our movies. We're fetching the movies on the main thread, right? We are reading the JSON. We are parsing the JSON. And I'm not sure we should be doing that. But this makes our app slow, right? Because it is doing all this heavy work on the main thread. It is freezing our app because, the main thread is occupied. We don't see any animations. We don't see nothing. But yeah, we can identify that this is the least, this is the least of the things that we can actually optimize. So in order to do that, and we can see that it's in the all the movies.utils.fetch movies. So if we go into our project, utils fetch movies, this is the method that gets called. As you can see, we get the JSON data from the assets, then we create a new JSON instance, we try to parse the JSON, and then we return the movies. And this is being called in our view model inside of its methods. So this happens in the main thread, right? In order to fix that, we should actually wrap our, so let me import all of these. We should actually wrap our underscore state.value equals our operation and dispatch it in a background thread so it doesn't actually live in the main thread, right? So our app is actually more responsive during that time. So I'm going to run this again, and hopefully we should see the profile. There we go. At least we can see the spinner there. We couldn't see the spinner before because, yeah, Android doesn't refresh our view while this is happening. So we got the spinner now. But let's see if we can see the new profile. This might take some time in order for Sentry to receive the profile and parse it. Luckily, I do have one profile. Okay, there we go. Here's the most recent one. And as you can see, it took a lot less time. It took a lot less time to render the main activity, right? And if we see the flame chart, and actually if we try to search for fetch movies, we can see that there is no fetch movies on the main thread now, right? Because we are dispatching that operation on the back thread. But if we go to this worker right here and try to search for it, fetch movies, there we go. We can see that it's actually here. It's not on the main thread, it's one of the back threads. And that was the improvement that we did in our app. So yeah, this is Sentry, and this is what Sentry can do in terms of issues and profiling. As I mentioned, there's like a lot of features that are available, but yeah, that was the demo. And before we actually, let me pull the StreamYard link again. Before we actually move on to the Q&A, I would like to drop some links for you. I'm sure Madonna already did, but I lost all of the chat history. So, yeah, we have a Jetpack Compose AMA at the end of February, where you can tune in, learn what we have in store for you in terms of Jetpack Compose and Androids. And yeah, here's the link. Madonna can also share these with you on the chat so you can click on them easily. Then if you are interested to start using Sentry with Android today, we have an Android page, which is a rabbit hole page, to be honest. There's like a lot of links that lead to a lot of different links, etc. So you can learn more about how you can use Sentry in your Android app today. If you're curious to see the source code of the demo app that I just showed, here's the link. Don't forget to change the DSN number into your Android manifest file, because if you don't, you'll send all of your issues to me. I'm not sure I'll have the time to fix all of your issues. So yeah, have that in mind. We also have a sandbox where you can check out all of the Sentry's features, like all of the bells and whistles are turned on without needing to register. And yeah, I think you should definitely check out this sandbox. And also in the meantime, I'm doing live streaming on my YouTube channel where I'm building an expense tracker with Jetpack Compose from Tuesday until Thursday, at least for the next 2 weeks, until I move to Canada, of course. And yeah, if I didn't bore you, feel free to jump in, say hello, chat with me, hang out, criticize my presentation skills. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the patience. And we can go into the Q&A now, I believe. But I can see one question: what kind of options or plans does Sentry have? Yeah, I don't know them by heart, but if you do Sentry pricing, you can see that you've got a free one for as a developer, so you can get started. Some of the features are supported, but you get support for all of the languages. Then you have the team, which is like 26 per month. unlimited members, third-party integrations, and metric alerts. Then you got business, which is 80 per month, advanced analytics, cross-project visibility, etc., etc. And there's also like an option to pay ahead and basically like build your own plans. All right, so whatever works best for you. We still can hear Madonna, but in the meantime, Cybershark asks, any free for open source? Reach out to us, okay? Tag us on Twitter, and we'll see what we can do. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything like that, but yeah. In any case, reach out on Twitter, and we'll see what we can do.
Hey, Lazar, can you hear me now?
Now it's good. Okay.
Yeah, looks like all streaming services are like that. So they just reach that area and they're like, we're done streaming. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. We don't want to continue. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's
So,
just like my talk. You know, I don't have that. I got that bad luck, probably.
oh no, don't say that. Don't say that. First, I wanted to say I think your presentation was super great. I listened
Thank you.
to half of it because I normally do have stand up during that time. So I did switch up a little bit to watch stand up. I think you've answered some of the questions, which is pretty nice.
Mhm.
And to me, I wanted to actually ask, since we're talking about monitoring, have you actually tried the latest Android Studio, and have you used like the profiler for monitoring your app?
No, I think I do have the latest Android Studio, the Electric Eel,
Yeah,
but I haven't tried that. I still haven't tried that.
nice. You should try it out. You should try it. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information. I actually attended a talk on Saturday about performance, and one of the talks, he talked super well about how to check for the red flags and what
Mhm.
to look for when you're monitoring your apps too. But otherwise, great presentation. Thank you so much for being with us here. Please stick around. We have so many other talks coming through later. He's saying, can you add the links of your last slide in the chat, please? Somebody said that.
Okay, let's drop them.
Yeah, let's drop them. I just want to mention, I did also drop a couple of links earlier in the
Mhm.
beginning of the talk in the chat. If you just scroll up, you'll see them. So you should be able to see that part where you want to know about Lazar. Thank you so much, Lazar, for this amazing talk. We actually did finish way, way ahead of time. So stick around. We have more talks coming. And it was a pleasure hosting you today, Lazar.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Madonna.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.